Two unemployed actors, two unemployed actors. They're just between projects.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Two Unemployed Actors. I'm Max.
I'm Sam.
And we have a special guest in the studio today in Fred, the Dashhound, for everyone who's watching on YouTube. Fred, say hi. No, good. After 20 minutes, he's finally calmed down and allowed Sam to sit down and relax. And I think we're good to record. But if you hear a bark every now and then, it's not Sam's
me.
cough. Are you feeling better from last week?
I am, yes. I'm back, everyone. I was missing in action, but
Yep.
I'm back, yeah.
Good.
Had an awful sickness because I just finished that big musical that I was doing and my body was like, hey, you have time to be sick now. So, but yes, much better.
At least it didn't happen during or before after all the rehearsals and that, as you were going. Good to have you back. And look, it has been busy. It feels like just the other podcast that I was saying, I've, busy with the podcast, which is great, and busy with voiceover work. And not so much acting because it was a month and a half since being on set for Deadly Women. So the needle has swung well and truly back the other way.
Yeah, nice.
And I've been going 14 days straight. I get a couple of days off starting tomorrow after a casting. Mm-hmm. And yeah, a couple of student films that were fantastic fun. Executive role play for some training for a multinational. What else? The play. I had to get off book for the play, which starts very shortly. I sort of dropped in to replace someone. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Most scenes. Yep. And so it's been crazy, and 6 auditions in between, a couple of self tapes, and being in the room on occasion where I had to be off book, so drowning in scripts. But look, it hasn't been stressful busy. It's just been really productive busy.
Good.
Which is great, and doing what I love. And the student films were a lot of fun, playing 2 different characters, but both were sort of assholes in their own way.
Mm-hmm. Method acting there.
Yeah. I'm getting typecast, actually. Finding I don't have to prepare that much. But,
They say they're blind casting, but really.
And both with AFTT, both guys in the same class, actually, but very different productions. One playing a hospitality manager who is an absolute prick, and I got to throw people against the wall. I got to yell and scream, and it was great therapy. Not a closed set, actually in a functioning hotel, so that made an extra element of excitement.
Can you say which hotel?
I'd like to check in, please. And there's Max throwing some guy across the room. Anyway, no. It worked out okay for all involved. And
what hotel? What hotel was it? I want to know.
I want to do it now. I'll tell you off. But anyway, no, it was good fun. They were very kind to accommodate, the school, and including me, for no budget. But it's sort of inspired by Groundhog Day, so he keeps being this arsehole, wakes up
that's
again
so cool.
and again, and then suddenly he's really overly nice to this guy who's like, what the hell, that's completely out of character. Yeah. And you can see him struggling to be nice. It's not his natural state. So there's that whole, no, really, you're going to get promoted,
So did you were in one of the hotel rooms, woke up in the bed or something? Is that how it worked?
It was all in the lobby.
Oh, there we go.
Where everyone could see. And and with a...
Oh, so they couldn't stop the public coming in?
No,
so
it wasn't closed at all. They did accommodate us by closing one exit off for us, so we could sort of put lots of gear there and minimise the risk to public safety. And a lot of filming of coming around corners and bumping into people, that sort of stuff. So it wasn't too bad, and it was a fairly quiet time.
Nice.
We did know over the 2 days when exactly check-in and check-out was, because it was a bit busier. But look, it was great. And that's what happens. It's nice that businesses are willing to support young people coming together. Obviously not me, but younger than me people, studying at film and television schools to use their resources at times to film. And I think that's nice. Really good, There's still a lot of bureaucracy when it comes to using, part of the scene was set outside, and sort of minimised options by having so many layers of bureaucracy to try and get approval just to film in an alleyway. But aside from that, look, it was great, and I'm looking forward to seeing the footage. And then a week later, playing a narcissist doctor who has never lost a patient, prefers to be at work, loves to be in control at work. Oh my God, who's getting a phone call in the middle of without being on silent? How unprofessional!
Noob.
Absolutely. It's like I haven't done this before.
I know. Who are you?
I'm going backwards.
How was last week without me? With just you?
It was a struggle. It was a lot of me talking
Were you talking to the wall?
I was talking to the computer,
Okay.
to the webcam.
Actually, where do you do your self-tapes in this place?
literally
Do you
the
do it here?
background that behind you, it's a great, because when you do sheet backdrops, I mean, you've got to hang them up, and if they're not ironed, all you see is creases, and it distracts me.
A white background's perfect.
Because I'm a
That's
nerdy
what you-
OCD kind of guy, I'm
same.
iron my t-shirts. I like to see it all, at grammar school.
Yeah.
I like to see all.
Did you go to Sydney
white.
Grammar?
I went to Caulfield Grammar in
Ah,
Melbourne.
that's right. You told me. Yeah.
So being a Melbourne boy, but so shirts and ties and everything's got to be tucked in, blah blah. But it's a nice white background. So I literally dropped the tripod, and I've got a rig where the phone plugs into, and the mic's already there, ready to go. And just and generally I had to rope in Emma a couple of times to read for me, which is great.
Yeah.
But another trick I found too in that, obviously being a bit more comfortable now in Adobe with my voiceover work has meant that I can be really quick on the edit. Like I can be I'm brutal and I send them what I think they want to see, followed by me doing something completely different and maybe a couple other different things if they get that far down the tape. And that's kind of tightly edited.
Yeah.
No slides or anything unless they specifically ask for it. So I load the image straight away, straight from the phone. And then I just click on the audio file and it opens up Audition. And then I just compress the audio and normalize it. It takes me 5 seconds and press save.
Yeah.
And automatically I sound so much better and clearer just from recording from a mobile phone.
Yeah, mobile phone's good.
It's HD.
That's what I do.
Yeah, and I'm coming through really clear thanks to the Rode directional mic, my little $90 friend. You can hear the reader, you can hear Emma, but obviously it's me, and it really just adds another layer to the audio quality.
Well, the other day I was doing a self tape, and I use shoe boxes to put as like a tripod to get the right level, because I have a small tripod that doesn't extend, like a really small one, and I attached. This is all makeshift.
Yeah.
I'm a poor actor, so it's like a small tripod, and I've attached like one of those the ends of a selfie stick for my phone.
Okay.
And then I put that on top of my keyboard, which is on top of shoe boxes. And then it's the right level when I'm standing up.
But that's it. I mean, as long as it works.
Yeah, and it works. And the other day I was doing a self-tape for a short film that will be done in the Blue Mountains.
Hang in there, Sam.
Yeah, I know. It's so annoying. The Blue Mountains is just the aftermath of the sickness. It's just,
right.
for 5 days, and it sounds really cool. But the audition script was mostly a monologue. It was pretty fat monologue, and just a couple of lines from someone else, like the other character at the end. And I memorized it all in like 10 minutes, so that's great. That's a skill, right?
Yeah,
to memorize
I know.
stuff
That's
really quick.
And like because you turn up and guaranteed there's going to be occasions where you turn up and they're like, oh, script's changed, and it's completely different. Or sometimes I find it harder when just a sentence has changed or a few words.
Oh yeah, me too.
Because you're automatically off book and you're trying to actually remember that without looking like you're thinking about what you're going to say next.
Yeah, exactly. But with a self-tape, they're not going to send you a new one.
No, which is great. But yeah, the ability to memorize though, you're absolutely right. So key because of those situations where things change last minute. I find it really it's really handy.
Yeah, and I've always had that since I started acting. Always had that.
Oh, you're lucky
some reason
bastard.
skill to memorize real quick.
I
I do it
that.
as like. How do I explain it to people? I explain it like, suicide runs, when you have a line here, line here, line there. And you run there, back, run to the next line, back, run to the next line, back. That's how I do script. I don't know if you do it a similar way. So I read the first line, make sure I've memorized it, go back, read it over again, and then the next one, make sure I've memorized both those, go back, do it all to the third one.
Okay.
Or lines, sentences, whatever works.
All right, Fred.
It's because I'm talking.
He's got FOMO. Like if he's not getting attention, he's missing out.
It's fair enough.
But
that's me too.
that's interesting.
So that's how I memorize, and it just seemed to work and all that. But I was doing this self tape, and it was a very intense scene. So it's about a teenager who commits suicide on camera, live, but survives. So some sort of mystical power or something like that.
Deep.
But so on the video, he dies. He's dead. His family's seen it. Everyone's seen it. But he
somehow
survives.
His consciousness sort of lives on.
Yeah, and he meets a homeless man, and they hit it off. No, I don't know. No, something happens. They're friends. But it's a very dark moment. It's when he comes back and tells him what he
Right.
did. And I didn't really want to do it in front of anyone. Jess was away; she was in Canberra, so I didn't have
Yep.
her really
Yep.
to do it with me.
You
But I
found it
kind of
easier to get off book first and then really dial up the emotion and
Yeah.
and control it all on your own environment.
yeah, exactly. And
Yep.
it's easy,
Yep.
sometimes easier, especially with family members or people
Yeah.
when you're
Yeah.
acting in front of
I
them.
know.
It's harder at times.
Especially because they don't, right? And
Yeah.
they're doing you a favor just reading, and they don't get it. And it's like, then they'll start laughing. And
Exactly.
You know what I mean? There's,
But even if they're so professional as well, which they usually are,
Yeah.
it's just that it's them.
Oh,
It's
gotta
someone
get better
there.
relatives. Yeah.
Exactly. But so instead, with the last few lines that had the other character in it,
Yep.
so I recorded myself, left spaces, and reacted to the lines in my head.
Yep.
And then I left the camera there at the same distance and said the other lines. So it was me
Yep.
both times as
Yep.
the reader and as
That's okay.
and it was funny. It was kind of good.
Sounds
If they
evasive.
ask like, "Did you read the reader?" No, it's my brother. He sounds a lot like me. Yeah, which
My
is
twin.
I can get away with that, right?
It's good. Well, I mean, whatever works. At the end of the day, you've got a limited amount of time
Yeah.
to get it down
Yeah.
and get it right. And they just
Before the 7th of September, so I still have time if I wanted to read. Actually, no, I've
Yep.
sent it, but anyway. But I did it the day he contacted me,
right.
but I didn't want to send it in then because then there'd be moments he'd be watching it and be like, "Oh, that was rushed. Obviously that was. Oh, I can see that." So I did it the day after, but
Right,
acted
right.
like But you got to be like, show that you're keen, but not too keen. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm not.
It's like a
desperately
relationship.
Keen.
It's like a relationship.
Yes.
That's what self-tapes are.
A little bit at a time.
Yeah.
Gradual movements in the right direction.
Yeah,
Isn't that
exactly.
Right, Fred? Yep. Cheers, mate. So that's good. Yeah. No, I've had. I have a really good story to tell. I'm so happy about this because I went to read to the kids this morning, being Wednesday morning, and I missed last week because I was working. What was I doing? The executive training, role play, and
Oh, yeah.
I come in and Miller comes up to me and she's like, I've written a book. I'm like, what? She's like, I've written a story.
This is one of the kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've written a story. So when they split into groups, she's come up to me with the book because obviously the teachers cut the paper and stapled it so that you can see all the pages and she can fill in all the white pages. And she wrote a story. It's a great story about a magic leaf. But it's just so awesome. And then she was so excited. She said, "Oh, we have to read this together. Like, I want you to read it." I was like, "Well, we'll read it together." And she was going to colour it in the next week. Meanwhile, there were two other kids who were sitting down and so inspired as well to write their own stories so they can bring it to the story corner and have, Maxie read it with them. I'm like, oh, that is so good. Like, I've had positive feedback on set for the last couple of weeks and like, everything's been going really well, but that's absolutely made my month to have the kid. To have Miller
To have
the
the kid.
one of the children. Pesky little brat. No, come up to me and
The
go,
kid.
"Oh, look, I've written a story. Let's read the story together." I'm like, "Oh yes, it's working. It's working."
Yeah, good.
Stories are fun. Oh, so I'm still glowing. From that.
That's good.
Awesome.
That's good.
Cute
Actually,
little
that when
kids.
you said the kid, like the kid or whatever, that just reminded me. I was
The child.
the child introducing the child.
Introducing the child and the magic leaf.
Okay, we're gonna cut this out. No, I was doing rehearsal because I'm in, as you know, 2 musicals at the moment
Yes.
again. And obviously not like still getting over. Had dogfight rehearsal. And I just it's so hard because we're singing to the track still because we're still learning it.
Yeah.
But because I've done it before, I know a lot of the words, and I can't
right.
just mouth it. I need to sing. The energy
yeah.
needs to be there. And I
So
was
is
singing.
that what happens? As you start to learn the song, you're sort of almost miming
yeah.
to the track as it plays. Just
Well,
to
we
get the hang
we
of it.
try and sing as much as possible, but because I'm getting over a sickness,
You can't.
because I was singing so hard because I was in character.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I lost my voice by the end of rehearsal, but it had dropped 5 octaves, and I was speaking
Wow.
really low, and it was I was saying some of my lines like that, and it was really fun because it was I don't know, that was just a side
quite the
note.
challenge.
It was fun. It was.
But
good
you've got to be
fun.
careful too, because you don't want to. Yeah, like I said earlier, you don't want to sort of push too much. Then you know.
That's true as well. Yeah, I got to
Ruin your voice for a
after
bit.
my voice exactly.
Yeah, it's your
Mhm.
instrument, as they say in the biz. In the
Yeah.
biz.
And I recently, as you know, did that law student promo with UNSW.
Yes.
That
Yeah,
was
how'd
cool.
go?
Speaking of places, hard places to get permission to film or whatever.
Oh, really?
They pushed it back a week because they still needed to get permission to film outside the the law courts in Sydney, the Supreme Court.
Of course.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
that was
journalists
cool.
can get away with lots of stuff because they've got
Yeah.
the media accreditation, but even that takes a bit of paperwork to get.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes sense because
So the Supreme Court, but it was cool.
Yeah.
They gave it back to me. I can show friends and family. So
Right. If the
sorry,
way to,
Max.
at least that's all right. That's fine. I wouldn't trust me either, just quietly.
But hello.
Because it'll end up in the next podcast.
Yeah. No. I can show you after. But it's gonna come out in September, but only internal at UNSW, so it's not
Right.
gonna be on TV or anything.
Okay.
It looks really good.
That's
and
great.
I'm in a suit and I'm like walking up the stairs on the phone and all this stuff. It looks really sick.
Yep.
It's really well done, and somehow I look older. I'm meant to look older, like
Right.
progressively, because I'm going from
Okay.
student to graduate.
Okay. So is a lot
Sounds
of
good.
like the camera's lower than you and making
Yeah,
it
I
more
guess it's-
authoritative and older?
Yeah,
and
at times,
experienced
and I'm also in a suit, and my hair's more slicked, and I put
Yep.
makeup on for that one, and yeah, it was a lot of fun though.
That's good. And the crew were really profesh.
Yeah, I mean, it was only three of us, so me, the director, and
Yep.
cinematographer.
Yep.
And they told me they don't usually do stuff like that.
Okay.
They usually shoot like educational videos and stuff like that. But this
Right.
was for a client, for a promo,
Right.
yeah, and they were loving it, and they were really lovely. I've contacted them again, seeing if there's another job available, because
That's
I
what you
need
do.
money.
Absolutely. You keep. That's
Yeah.
it. I mean, it's networking, and to get a project underway, and you got feedback on it. That's great, and
Mhm.
absolutely, you remind them.
Yeah, it's good fun.
For me, it was rollovers this time because I had to diarise because it was a good job. It was representing a business online, one of a few actors that day, and I was talking about how you can invest in medical institutions or something through them, and then I said, look, not in perpetuity. I'll do it for and for 12 months for that fee. It'll be for 12 months. And then I diarised the 12 months and I reached out to the production company and said, just letting you know it's still up, which is fine. I've attached an invoice for a rollover fee. Let me know if you want to bring it down, if the client doesn't want it, blah, blah, blah. I did 2 weeks prior to that forward my work and tag the client in. Again, because it was the first time for some reason, it was the first time I saw this extended cut, and I thought, there's some stuff in there I could use in my show reel as well.
Yeah.
But also worth sharing, and I tagged them in. They actually thanked me on social media for sharing that. So then the production company came back and said, look, actually, they're happy to approve. Just invoice it to them.
Nice.
So great. That's good. But it's something to be considered of. I mean, paid work is great, but not just any paid work. Like,
No.
you've got to, signing yourself away in perpetuity for a fee. I mean, it might look good up front because, it's half a day's work or whatever, but they're allowed to use your likeness and what they've recorded of you and sound for whatever purposes they want in their business forever.
Yeah. I know, you got to be careful with that stuff.
When I've got the fee again for another 12 months,
Yeah.
if I hadn't asked for it, absolutely guaranteed it'd be in perpetuity. But it's not like you're going to lose the job. It's not like, and if you do, well, okay, because I'm not going to sign away. What it also does is it limits your ability to work. In this case, for some financial services, because they're not going to give you a gig on TVC. It might be a big national TVC job if you're the face of, you're on a competitor's website.
Yeah, exactly. You need a bit,
Because that's limiting my opportunities in that particular industry for work. And obviously, I can work in that particular industry because I am. You're using me.
Yeah.
And it worked quite well. So, don't be afraid to say, absolutely excited, like the project, happy to do it. That fee's fine, but just for 3 months or 12 months usage.
Yeah.
If it's non-broadcast, it's just social and on the website, I still made a point of saying 12 months. And they did say, the client's worried, they really want to use you, but they don't want to pull, you might still be on their Facebook posts or Instagram posts. I mean, they don't want to have to go back and pull all that after 12 months. I'm like, no, that's fine. It's understandable. I'm not, an asshole normally. But it's good that we were having a dialogue about this because not many actors start that dialogue.
No, I mean, you're older.
Older and at some occasions
Wiser?
for a limited period of time, wiser and sober.
Yeah, no, you've been in this industry, even though you had a 20-year break.
20-year break, and what was it? 20 years negotiating a business, but
and you've been in here for.
But it's don't be afraid to say absolutely want to plow in, but with the in perpetuity bit.
Yeah. Okay. fair enough.
Or if the project doesn't even say in perpetuity, say, look, okay, that's great, but just for 3 months use here.
Yeah.
The
Because a lot of
professional
actors would
ones
be
will say that
scared.
anyway.
A lot of actors would be scared to ask, and
Yeah.
they'd lose the job. And
You know what? I
that's-
don't think the other two did, because of the nature of the conversation between the client and the production company.
Yeah.
I was the only one.
Yeah.
So, and that's fine. Everyone's different.
Yeah.
Maybe they had a bigger upfront fee as a result. Look, I don't know, but I just know that in my case, you know, I'd rather lose that opportunity, regretfully, but nonetheless, and have a great relationship with the production company because I've lost it for certain reasons. It's like when I've said no, like sourcing my own work at times for a nominal fee. You know, it's some short job and it's a few $100, not enough to sort of go through the agent and, you know, they get a cup of coffee out of, but you know what I mean? But because it would be a bit more high maintenance, but enough to sort of say, oh, you know, actually this would be my fee for that, and also aside from the project fee, you know, to actually use me for my likeness for 9 months or 10 months, whatever it was. And they kind of go back and go, oh, look, you know, it's not in our budget, but we kind of knew that you wouldn't be in our budget, but we wanted to, based on your experience, but we wanted to reach out anyway, but we'll keep you in mind for future. So, like, you know, they're not going to go, oh, this guy is an arsehole. I don't ever want to work with him.
Yeah,
Talk about
exactly. Well, that's stupid.
It's a business, first and foremost, and they have a budget to work through. And if they can cut costs in certain areas to get more value for the client and help their margin, they will.
Yeah.
And we're always the last to happen. You know, they get the brief from the client, they work through that brief, they research it, they give ideas, they workshop the ideas, they land a few on a short list, and the client chooses it. And by the time it gets to casting, you know, there's 10 cents left in the budget and whatever you can cut. So,
exactly.
which is why I'm really seeing a lot of people, a lot of clients going direct through things like Star Now and online platforms, saying, look, I don't want to work with an agent or an agency for that matter.
Yeah, there are. I mean, there's so much you can do on your own now.
Yeah,
as
you
well.
can really be in control. But you got to choose wisely, filter appropriately, and choose wisely.
But especially like if you're just someone who wants to earn some extra money and be in casual things here and there. That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking to just break through and really go hard in as a purely this as a career as an industry. This as a career.
Yep. And everything I do has got to sort of add value to that career.
I mean, an agent can help a lot with that.
Absolutely.
But definitely, like, you can do a lot by yourself now.
And
100%.
even now, like, I wouldn't take a paid gig, direct or indirect roles as an extra, because now I've got experience in the lead in different productions, especially, you know, professionally, like with Deadly Women, the last one. I'm not going to sort of go, oh, well, I'll do extra work now.
Yeah.
Just bump the mic. God, I'm an idiot. Such an amateur today. So, I won't.
Was that you or Fred?
I'll blame the dog, but for those that aren't watching us on YouTube, Fred is now in the middle of the table, friends with Sam, in between
Very
mics.
friendly.
So the traumatic 20 minutes of barking at you, Sam's long gone now. He's mates.
God.
We
are mates. We're mates now.
Yeah. Seal of
Good
approval. So
yeah. No, speaking of like having, you know, good conversations with the directors and stuff like that, and the producers or whatever. Although the musical that I'm in and in Wollongong isn't paid, Jess and I had a conversation with them before we were cast about how like we wouldn't unfortunately be able to do it if both of us weren't cast for logistical travel reasons, and really, really open with them. And you know, at first we were like, oh, if we say this, they're just going to be like, oh, okay, thank you so much for your time, blah, blah, blah. But they really respected it, and they had a long email with us and everything, and really wanted to.
That's great.
They must have really wanted us. So
because I think that's a sign of experience, but also professionalism.
Yeah, 100%.
They'd value that input because it's like, okay, he's people are quite open, and the fact that you're open and transparent about it.
Yeah.
At the early stage, going, look, you know what, I really love this production. I love to be able to get into this with you. Now we've had this conversation. It'd be great. Should I be successful? But to be completely fair, you know, I don't live in town. I've got to travel, and if we meet X, Y, and Z, I can be able to commit. Otherwise, I can't commit.
Exactly. And if you don't get in for whatever other reason, that's just life anyway. But if you don't get in for that reason, you know, that's their problem. You know,
I feel like the theme this podcast is all about empowering as an actor and being decisive, you know, because to build on what you said, I know I've read, you listen to so much from casting directors and online and stuff. Somewhere in the mix, I picked up from a casting director that, it's great to have an actor come in and feel comfortable in the room. So they can say things like, look, can the reader stand up while I deliver this line? I'd like to stand up. Is that okay? I don't want to sit down. And because it's a two-hander standing up and it feels more natural. Okay. Like they just want to see the best you can do. And if standing up is like, so many people walk in the room and they feel like they don't own the room at that moment, and how dare they ask permission for, to do anything differently, and okay, I'll just sit down and we'll just read because okay, well they will if that's what happens. Or they might not direct you in a certain way. They might, based on what they just saw, you not as comfortable as you could be doing work that's not as good as you can have it, make a different decision for you. As opposed to say, look, you know what, it's a scene that involves two people standing up, stand up. It was the same one. I don't know if I mentioned it. That said, know your character's place, physical place. There was one scene she used in a casting, which was two women discussing very personal things in a cafe, and actor after actor would come in and they'd be top of their voice. This is what happened in my private life last night. And it's like, well, you wouldn't do that in a cafe. You'd sort of lean in and be whispering.
No,
when it comes to, so just going in, owning the room, having the confidence to say, hey, can I stand up and deliver this to a reader standing up, or can we move it over here? Can we do fine?
Definitely, they want to see you and be confident. And you're 100% right. Like the theme of like this podcast is to empower actors, I guess.
And I think that's kind of what's coming through. Like all these different examples we've talked about today, that's kind of a key thing.
Definitely.
It's like, don't be afraid to be open about it. It's only going to help you as well.
Exactly. Well, like an audition I did last year, it was for a musical. I walked in and was like, no, I don't need the lyrics. That's all good. Because I thought I learnt them and I stuffed them up a couple times, but that's okay. And I stopped the callback and said, can we actually speed up the music a bit? I think it's a bit more sped up, a bit faster in the track. And they said sure. And I think they liked that, so because I got the part, so that was good. But I thought I completely
if there's something you can do to help your performance, and the fact that you're happy to take control and give constructive advice that works.
And if they can see that you're doing what what you're doing, like what you're talking about. If you're saying, no, can we have the tempo faster, please?
Exactly.
Can we start again? Then that's not a bad thing to. Yeah.
What did you say in the musical special though? If you're rude to I remember you guys were saying if you're rude to the accompanist.
Oh yeah.
They can go
a
bit slow in places or speed up.
Well, yeah, exactly. If you give them a hard song to do, which I've done a couple times, but hasn't failed me yet. But that's they could make or break your audition. They could, so got to be kind to them.
Having talent's one thing, but these are people, should you get the part, you might have to work very closely with for, 16-hour day shoots or whatever it might be.
Yeah, you don't be an arsehole.
Don't be an arsehole. Be someone they'll be happy to work with.
Exactly.
Let them see that you're professional. Don't be unprofessional.
A couple of stuff come up on Star now. Like I've started applying for a lot of more paid things as well, or more paid things have come up that I've wanted. There was a Cancer Council TVC or photo shoot that I applied for and got a call for yesterday. So I don't know if I'm in it yet, but they shortlisted me. So that's great. Music video for an overseas artist.
Okay.
That could be awesome to do. Jess and I have applied for a couple of things in these two musicals. Yeah, it's busy for both of us, isn't it, Max?
Yeah, and it's good to
be
podcast,
of course.
There. And the podcast, of course. And I already had some good feedback from people who've listened in to the How to Find an Agent one.
Mm-hmm. Your one.
And the musical special.
Oh, yeah. They love
which is great. Entertaining and informative.
Ah.
So it's good. They used entertaining first. It's fun. And then
good.
Informative. So they still learn something.
Okay, good. Yeah, do we have more listeners now? I'm pretty sure we did.
Yeah, we're getting there with each podcast. I mean, this is what, 9? Episode 9?
Yeah, 9.
We're still in the beginning phase. But having said that, most podcasts don't go past episode 7. So I feel like we've actually achieved something by going further.
Hell yeah.
We've got the website, we've got YouTube, we've got stuff happening, and you're still turning up.
Oh, yeah.
So that's helpful. Fred's not the ideal replacement. I agree.
Well, I didn't turn up last week, but that was for a different reason, wasn't it?
And this week, it's the only podcast to feature a dashhound walking through the table 100%. And bumping the mic occasionally.
Fred.
Thanks, Fred.
I'm looking at our
podcast mascot.
Oh, yeah. Got 213 likes for that. How do I find a good agent one? Oh.
Yeah. So, well,
Good
I mean,
stuff.
it's a recurring question. And we're going to touch on it down the track because I spoke to...
It's hard.
I spoke to someone when I was on, I was going to say on set, but it was for the corporate executive training where we had to play a role of a aggrieved employee at a senior level who was about to walk and do it 3 times throughout the day.
Yeah.
While they were evaluated.
Mm-hmm.
And... another actor was saying, you know, how do you come up with ideas to talk about the podcast? Well, I said, look, it's really an excerpt of what we're doing at the moment and how we're doing. We're just open about what we're doing and how we're doing it.
Exactly.
Because we know there are people out there who can relate. And it's so disempowering as an actor. You can feel like you're on your own, yet you're struggling at the same point everyone else as an actor struggle with, you know, successful or not.
Yeah.
And some of the successful ones still struggle at certain points. So it's like... it's so relevant. And then also the audience who wants to know more about what happens behind the scenes. It's great. But even he was like, you know, we can... because he actually coached some agents on how to work. He's a producer as well as... doesn't do as much acting. And like, it'd be great to have different guests on. It's a way for not only you to learn, but you guys to help others.
Yeah, exactly.
And network and bridge the gap between the unknown. So,
100%.
yeah, heaps of opportunity. So, yeah, I'm really happy with where it's at.
Yeah, me too. Like
Fred's happy, which is
he
important.
is.
So he stopped barking.
I reckon we could start like coming up with themes for individual podcasts as well now, because we've gone over a lot and we can now look back, listen back at our podcasts and pick out
go deeper
themes.
In things that
go in more detail, especially ones that people are saying they've enjoyed.
That's a good idea. So I think, and stuff we've seen resonate. So the email is on the website. It's contact@unemployedactors.com if you want to old school email me, us, with your ideas, and also contact us on social media, whether it's a message or a post.
Instagram, Facebook, contact us. Let us
YouTube,
know what you want to hear.
Because we absolutely take it seriously. We're part of the community, and whether you're in Australia or not even, like, you know, what do you want to hear from us?
We're also on Patreon.
Yes, we are. If you do actually literally value our input.
If you want more more exciting surprises.
Yes, it's all going into better equipment and probably
quality.
A comfortable cage for Fred when we're broadcasting. But I think absolutely, I think it's a great idea. Let's put our heads together and use our network to come up with some ideas that could be great themes, and then we just tick them off one at a time as we go through.
Definitely. Oh my God.
Fred, stop stealing the microphone cord, mate. Chew through that, you get a shot. So heaps more to come, and as we progress in all of our projects and endeavours, there'll be lots more to talk about. I know coming up, I've got to... well, this is something I never thought I'd say out loud. I'm going to pick up a hay bale on Saturday.
What for?
Not on the Vespa.
Hope not.
It's a job for the Land Rover.
Yeah.
For the play, we're going to have a bale of hay up there for good old Des, the farmer, to talk about. Yeah, I actually have to go and get that.
Why? Because you're the only
and a
adult
spotlight, a few other bits and pieces. I've sort of erred more towards stage manager and and Des, good old Des.
That's great.
It's coming together nicely. We I'll say star because absolutely he can sing, he can act, and he also plays footy at a senior level. And his grand finals come out. He missed a rehearsal because he had concussion from one game.
Oh no!
They gave him a week off, and then at the final something happened. I don't know. Maybe we've got to tell him to stop tackling goalposts or something because he was sent a selfie from hospital with a black and bleeding eye.
Could be a good idea.
I'm going to miss the rehearsal, but I'm still in for 100. So, okay, so there's, as you can imagine, with an amateur production out in the burbs, there's lots of swings and roundabouts. But, getting some feedback from Faye, who's been in the business for 40 years, it's great. And also to stretch my legs on stage again, loving that opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
So,
stage is awesome. I think one good topic to talk about would be how to go about contacting people within this industry to try and get work without being too annoying and then get that reputation. I think that's a good theme to have.
How to professionally, network.
Yeah, how to network professionally, how to gently push through emails and through interviews without Yeah, tainting
Because
your reputation.
That's a good point, because I know at the moment I talk a lot about social media, and we talk about the stuff that entertains us as much as informs us, the Facebooks, the Instagrams and that. But I've been getting a lot of hits on LinkedIn.
Nice.
And yes, I've got, 500 plus from my corporate life, still in charge of budgets and all the rest of it, and I've done corporate training, whatever. There I am reading an article out of the MEAA, the union magazine, talking about a different company that I haven't worked with, talking about how they look for actors to role play. I'm like, okay, why haven't I got this on my CV? Why haven't I reached out to these businesses?
Yeah, nice.
And I've started following them on LinkedIn.
Was this a list? Was it of businesses?
No, it was just a particular business.
Which one was it?
I think it's peer-to-peer. It rings a bell. I'll double check and put it on the episode page.
Okay.
So LinkedIn is a great way for me to build and maintain a profile as well as a working actor. And a couple of my posts have been shared and liked and all the rest of it. Obviously, it's different to what you would post on Facebook and that. But also when you're talking about networking, advertising agencies that you follow, brand managers that you like and follow and have friends with, I wouldn't say like, but engage with on LinkedIn, it's great. Like we were talking about, what were we talking about last? Animal Logic.
Yeah.
And I could just go to LinkedIn and press, Animal Logic come up and instantly, not only their details and where they are at the moment, where they're headed, but also, a whole lot of positions that are vacant at the moment, how they're moving. Obviously, they're in a growth spurt. It's great to keep these contacts, whether you're at an actor event, at a movie premiere, whether you're at a workshop. It's great to network. Sometimes, like for voiceovers, especially business cards is something I've ordered to have a business card to actually, okay, what do you do? Voice? Oh, that's interesting because so and so, was looking for that, or audio books, or whatever, to have something to actually that can land, and I'll have a little NFC thing in it, so you could tap it against your phone, and actually send them to the demo.
Oh wow, how much? So
take it to the next level. Okay, it's $1 or something a card. So
yeah.
I'm not handing it out like glitter at Mardi Gras. I'm actually very strategic about it.
Yeah, good.
But it's another way to network, to help you networking face to face.
100%.
So I'm sort of broadening my networking horizons.
Yeah.
As good as I'm absolutely not ignoring Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and that, but there's more, with LinkedIn that you wouldn't think as an actor. You're a creative, but it is a business.
I'm trying to get this job and recontacted Finch Company.
Okay.
Their production company that I had an interview with, contacted the head of the company, the founder, and because my dad knew him and I had an interview with him months and months ago. Yeah. Recontacted, someone else responded, had an interview with her.
Oh, wow.
She was great. She wanted to put me on. She's like, I love that you constantly kept emailing. That's great.
Yeah,
I was once in your spot.
Just keeping them informed of what you're up to when you're still keen.
She said, I was in your spot once. I was an actor, and you have to email. You
Be
have to
hungry for it.
And I respect that a lot. So I think I've sent her now 3.
Great. Fred, don't knock the microphone out. Yeah, crazy. He's getting restless.
Oh my goodness. 3 emails over the past few months. She finally put me through to the head of front of desk. She's going to contact me when they get interested. You just got to keep going.
Great.
You just got to keep pushing.
Be on their radar.
Yeah, but I need that job.
And because we've said this so many times, don't just sit on the couch and wait for the phone to ring.
You can't
don't wait for the agent to call you.
No one's going to call you.
And they love that you're out there helping them.
You also got to do it with your agent. You got to push with your agent sometimes.
Give them an update. This is what I've been busy on.
Yeah, I told my agent about this. He's like, yeah, I'll have a listen.
Oh, good.
He knows if he has.
I'll have to make sure I behave myself then. Yeah. I have to make sure I don't edit you out completely like last
time. Yeah, like the last episode. I'm not in that one at all.
Actually, Sam was here.
I was like, hello, anyone here? No, not me. Yeah.
It's a small world sometimes in these circles that we move in small town Sydney. But so you're nice to everyone. You're professional all the time. But it's great to, you've just got to leverage all these opportunities and create some opportunities.
You're going to feel like you want to give up, but you can't. You got to keep going.
You're going to,
but you're going to feel like
Max's slogan is don't up.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Don't give up and don't up.
Oh my God. I had a bunch
You're welcome, people.
I got some good advice from someone a long time ago, as harsh as it is, a bit harsh. As harsh as it
Were they
was.
hitting you over the back of the head at the time?
Yeah. No, it was good advice. If there's something else you want to do,
Yep.
do it. Go do it. Figure it out. See if you hate it. See if you love it, like you did for 20 years.
Yeah.
All that, you came back
Took me
to
20
it.
years to work out I didn't like it.
Yeah, but if
I'm a slow
if you
learner.
if this is exactly, but if this is all you want to do and it's your passion,
Yep.
do it. Follow
Because
it.
it was burning
Go.
with me for
Yeah.
like I absolutely loved the time and had I pushed, I just know I wasn't right, and I knew at the time I wasn't right. Like I wasn't taking it that seriously, and I was excited about the opportunities of the corporate unknown, and absolutely loved that. And
Yeah.
coming back, I'm now better. I think.
Yeah,
Better placed to leverage these opportunities.
Yeah.
But then at the time, like, oh yeah,
exactly.
not
But
quite there.
It is hard, and whenever someone asks you what do you do, and you're like, I'm an actor. Instant thought is like, oh, cool, and they go to
At which
all the
restaurant?
glamour, and all the fame, I guess. But
Yeah.
if
Because they only see the good stuff.
exactly, and it's not.
They only see the success on telly.
Yeah, and
those
it's
people have
not
got
that
jobs.
easy. It's
No,
not that
it's
easy.
not. Thank you for listening to Two Unemployed Actors. Don't forget to follow us on social media. Subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. You're not just a better person by listening. You're a much better person by listening and subscribing.
Hell yeah.
So you don't miss all our wisdom.
Ask us questions.
Yeah. I'm
Send
Max.
us things you want to hear about. I am Sam.
And we're out for
And
another
here is
week.
Fred.
And Fred.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
See you guys.
Two unemployed actors.